I'm Caitlin Clark, and we are here to talk about women that have inspired me to become myself.
Caitlin Clark just gave an interview that has nothing to do with basketball, and it might be the most important move of her career. Forget the stats, forget the highlights. She just revealed the raw, unfiltered truth about her life and a secret vulnerability that exposes the carefully crafted myth that's been built around her.
I feel like my mom has always kind of been my rock. The first person I called when I got hurt this year was my mom. I'm like, can you fly here and cook me a meal and just spend time with me? And that is just the person that makes you feel safe. And I probably took that for granted as a kid, but my mom always made the best meals. I think it's important to take time for yourself. And I think also when I do have free time, one of my escapes is cooking a healthy meal for myself, whether that's, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. I really do enjoy that. Just putting on music and making a home cooked meal. And I think that's because it feels like a safe place.
This wasn't just another corporate event where she smiles and waves. Sitting down with glamour, Caitlin pulled back the curtain on who she is when the jersey comes off. And frankly, this conversation is either a genius strategy to win back the public or a critical mistake that could change how everyone sees her.
Over the course of my career now, obviously I've been away for 2 years and she has now since retired. But I think one thing that was probably super impactful on myself and all of my teammates is we always had a breast cancer game or a cancer game, and she would always bring in cancer survivors that got to kind of tell their story, but also the impact our team had on people and how much joy we could bring to them, because those people were huge Iowa women's basketball fans, and them getting to spend a day with us meant the world to them. So I think it put great perspective not only on basketball, but what we get to do for other people.
The interview.
Right out of the gate, she talks about her mom, and not in some generic thanks mom way. She admitted that when she got hurt this season, the very first person she called was her mom, begging her to fly out and cook for her. Think about that. The unstoppable basketball machine, the force of nature, admitting that when her body breaks down, she just wants her mom. That's a level of humanity we have never seen from her before.
Partnership with Lily, I think, more than anything, first of all, they care about women's sports, which is incredibly important to me. And now getting to play in Indianapolis and them being based here, it feels like a pretty natural partnership. On our jerseys, we wear the Lily patch, so I feel pretty lucky and fortunate to be able to work.
And it goes even deeper. She revealed her secret escape from the crushing pressure of fame is cooking. She puts on music and makes home-cooked meals because it reminds her of a simpler time, before millions of people had an opinion on every single thing she did. This isn't about her three-point percentage, this is about her sanity.
Maya Moore was definitely my favorite basketball player growing up, male or female. Getting to meet her and watch her play in a game for the first time is probably one of the greatest memories of my childhood, truly. And when Maya Moore did come and watch me at Iowa, it was a surprise. She was sitting courtside, and just to have somebody you grew up wanting to be take time out of their day to come and support you. And she was inducted to the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame, and the way she talked about team culture and how much that meant to her, and being a team player and how impactful that can be on your life is so true. And being on teams that have been really good, how true that is and how much that meant to her, and throughout the course of her career, it's just an easy.
Then she brought up her college coach, Lisa Bluder, and a story that explains everything about her character. Caitlin described Iowa's cancer awareness games where survivors would tell the team their stories. That's when it clicked for her. Basketball wasn't just about winning. It was about bringing a moment of joy to people fighting battles far harder than anything on a court. That maturity, learned in college, is the foundation of who she is today.
Growing up, it was Winners Never Quit, this picture book, and it was about Mia Hamm. And I remember when I would read books before I went to bed with my parents, that was the one I always wanted to pick. The resiliency she had, that's the whole story of the book, and what USA Women's Soccer did for not only female athletes, but women in general, and how much they brought people together. That's just been her ability, is just really to inspire people and to give back. And I don't think I would be here if it wasn't for them, because they were the people that inspired me to want to play in the first place, or want to work hard and achieve everything that I wanted to achieve. If it wasn't for those people that have kind of inspired me, I certainly don't think I would be able to play in front of a sold-out crowd every single night and have young girls and young boys screaming and wearing my jersey. Those are moments you never take for granted.
But the most stunning moment came when she talked about her childhood idol, Maya Moore. Caitlin called her the favorite basketball player she had growing up, male or female. That alone is a powerful statement. But then she praised Maya's Hall of Fame speech about the importance of team culture, saying you can't succeed without it. Let's not pretend that was a subtle comment. After the chaotic coaching, the questionable roster moves, and the way the Indiana Fever mismanaged her rookie season, this was a direct shot at her own front office. Caitlin is publicly sending a message. She values a healthy team culture above everything, and she knows she isn't in one right now. And if you've ever wondered where her insane competitive fire comes from, she gave us the origin story, a children's book about Mia Hamm titled Winners Never Quit. Her parents read it to her every single night. That single lesson, never ever quit, was programmed into her brain as a child, and it explains every single comeback she's ever had. This interview is exactly what fans have been begging for. The human side, the daughter who needs her mom, the person who understands her platform is bigger than basketball. But it also raises a massive question: why did it take this long? The criticism of Caitlin being too quiet, too corporate, and too distant has been completely valid. This interview is a step in the right direction, but it can't be a one-time thing right before her new Nikes drop. The Fever organization made huge mistakes, from changing her physique to taking her off the ball. They failed to build a system that allows a generational talent to thrive, and Caitlin is clearly feeling the effects. This vulnerable, authentic Caitlin is the one who became a global superstar, the one who plays with a fiery joy, not just because a contract demands it. This interview showed us glimpses of that person, but glimpses aren't enough. If she wants to reach the heights everyone knows she's capable of, she has to fully embrace being this person all the time. Let's be brutally honest for a second. This move wasn't just about showing her human side. This was a calculated, strategic masterstroke in narrative warfare. For months, Caitlin Clark hasn't been a person. She's been a political football, a cultural Rorschach test, a blank screen onto which everyone projects their own agendas about sports, race, and gender. Every single conversation about her was dictated by hot take artists and talking heads. She was losing control of her own story. This interview is a hostile takeover of that narrative. By defining her own vulnerabilities, her own motivations, and her own pressures, she's rendering the external chatter irrelevant. She's not just playing defense against the media onslaught, she's running a brilliant offensive set piece, changing the entire geometry of the conversation by recentering it on her own terms. It's a power play disguised as a plea for empathy, and it's one of the most sophisticated media maneuvers we've seen from an athlete in years. The myth of Caitlin Clark, the one crafted by television networks and marketing departments, was that of the flawless savior. She was supposed to arrive in the WNBA like a conquering hero, dropping 40 points a night, single-handedly lifting the league to new heights, and doing it all with a smile. But that myth was unsustainable, and frankly, it was a trap. No athlete can withstand that level of pressure without cracking. The carefully constructed image was beginning to fracture under the weight of hard fouls, team losses, and the relentless media scrutiny. The unstoppable machine was visibly frustrated, her body language on the court screaming what she couldn't say. This interview is a controlled demolition of that myth. Her team, and likely Caitlin herself, realized that the persona of the perfect hero was more of a liability than an asset. By introducing the world to the daughter who needs her mom to cook for her, the person who finds solace in chopping vegetables, she's replacing an impossible ideal with a relatable human. This isn't just about being liked. It's about survival. A human can have bad games. A human can get frustrated. A human can lose. A myth cannot. She's giving herself permission to be imperfect, a permission the public was never going to grant her on its own. And that brings us back to the court, because the psychological state she revealed in this interview is directly and inextricably linked to her physical performance. The narrative so far has been about the physicality of the WNBA, about the welcome to the league moments. But we've been missing the other half of the equation. Imagine the cognitive load she's carrying every single day. She's not just learning a new pro-level offense and adjusting to the speed and strength of elite athletes. She is simultaneously the face of Nike basketball, the subject of 1,000 daily think pieces, the engine of a league's economic boom, and the focal point of a national culture war. When she talks about escaping into cooking, it's not just a hobby. It's a desperate attempt to find a quiet space in a brain that must be screaming with noise 24/7. The turnovers, the rush shots, the moments of visible frustration on the court, they aren't just rookie mistakes. They are the physical manifestations of an unprecedented level of mental and emotional strain. This interview gives us the context for the struggle. We're no longer just watching a basketball player. We're watching a person navigate an impossible situation, and it fundamentally changes how we should be interpreting every single play. Let's dig deeper into that Maya Moore comment because its brilliance lies in its layers of plausible deniability. On the surface, it's a respectful nod to a legend, but in the context of the Fever's chaotic season, it's a surgical strike. She didn't just say we need a better culture, she specifically referenced a Hall of Fame speech about it, effectively borrowing the gravitas of a WNBA icon to validate her own point. She's not just a rookie complaining, she's a student of the game echoing the wisdom of a champion. Think about the culture she came from at Iowa. It was a well-oiled machine built around her singular talent, with every player understanding their role, all orchestrated by a veteran coach she implicitly trusted. She's now in a system with an interim head coach, a roster in flux, and no clear offensive identity. Her comment wasn't just a shot at the front office, it was a public lament for the structure and stability she knows is necessary for success. She's essentially putting the Indiana Fever organization on the clock, telling them, I know what a winning environment looks like, and this isn't it, your move. It's a demand for professionalism, cloaked in the admiration of her idol. This brings us to the elephant in the room, the business of being Caitlin Clark. The timing of this interview right before a major Nike signature shoe launch is not a coincidence. This is brand management 101. The unflappable basketball robot persona might sell some jerseys, but the vulnerable, relatable human persona sells a lifestyle. It sells a story. Nike didn't just invest in a jump shot, they invested in a cultural icon, and icons need a compelling human narrative. Look at the most successful athlete brands in history. Michael Jordan's relentless drive was humanized by his gambling and his hyper-competitiveness. Serena Williams' on-court dominance was amplified by her off-court battles for equality and her journey into motherhood. Authenticity, or at least the performance of it, is the most valuable currency in modern marketing. This interview provides the raw material for that authenticity. It gives Nike's marketing team a whole new playbook to run. They can now build campaigns around her resilience, her connection to family, her mental fortitude. This isn't just Caitlin Clark speaking her truth. It's the CEO of Caitlin Clark Inc. making a strategic business decision to diversify her brand portfolio beyond points and assists. Perhaps the most genius aspect of this entire strategy is how it completely sidesteps the toxic discourse that has threatened to engulf her. She was being positioned as the antagonist in a story she didn't write, pitted against veteran players in a narrative largely fueled by race and jealousy. Engaging with that debate directly would have been a no-win situation. Any statement would be twisted, any comment weaponized. So what did she do? She ignored the debate entirely. She refused to play the game. Instead of addressing the noise, she chose to sing her own song, in her own key. By talking about her mom, her childhood idol, and her love for cooking, she's not just changing the subject, she's making the old subject sound petty and insignificant. It's a masterful act of narrative judo. She's using the weight and momentum of her critics against them, pivoting away from the controversy and pulling the entire conversation onto her preferred ground. She is showing everyone that while they are busy arguing about her, she is busy building her legacy. The detail about the Mia Hamm book, Winners Never Quit, is more profound than it first appears. It's not just about a simple childhood lesson, it's about the specific type of role model she was given. Mia Hamm wasn't just a great soccer player, she was a foundational figure who carried the weight of her sport on her shoulders. She was tasked with not only winning championships, but also with popularizing an entire league and inspiring a generation of girls to play. The parallels are almost eerie. Clark is now in that exact position. She understands on a fundamental level that her job isn't just to win games for the Indiana Fever. She is shouldering the commercial hopes and dreams of the entire WNBA. That Mia Hamm book didn't just teach her not to quit on a play, it subconsciously prepared her for the marathon of being a trailblazer. It programmed her to understand that the burden of greatness is not just about personal achievement, but about lifting everyone up with you. This interview reveals that she is not naive about this historic responsibility. She was in a way born for it. The fallout from this interview now shifts the spotlight directly onto the Indiana Fever organization. The pressure is immense, and it's no longer coming from fans or media pundits. It's coming subtly but unmistakably from their franchise player. Before this interview, the front office could hide behind the standard excuses. She's a rookie, there's an adjustment period. The league is physical. Those excuses have now evaporated. Caitlin has publicly laid out the blueprint for what she needs to succeed. A stable, supportive team culture. She has drawn a clear line in the sand. Every coaching decision, every roster move, every play call from this point forward will be judged against that standard. Will they rise to the occasion and build a professional environment worthy of a generational talent, or will they continue with the chaotic, seemingly improvisational approach that has defined her first few months? Caitlin has given them the roadmap. Now the world is watching to see if they know how to read it. The clock is not just ticking on their season, it's ticking on their credibility as a franchise. What makes this move so fascinating is how it contrasts with how other modern athletes have handled the crushing weight of fame and mental health. Athletes like Naomi Osaka and Simone Biles chose to step away from their sports, creating hard boundaries to protect their well-being. Their actions were revolutionary and necessary, prioritizing health over performance. Caitlin is attempting a different, perhaps more precarious, path. She is not stepping away, she is trying to reshape the very environment around her while still standing in the center of the storm. Instead of building a wall, she has opened a window. It's a calculated vulnerability. She is sharing just enough of her struggle to garner empathy and recalibrate public expectations, but not so much as to appear weak or overwhelmed. It's a tightrope walk. She is trying to manage the pressures of being a superstar in real time, using the media itself as a tool to alleviate the burdens the media helped create. It's a high-risk, high-reward strategy that could define the new playbook for how athletes in the social media age navigate the complexities of global stardom. Ultimately, this interview is about playing the long game. The frenzy of this rookie season will eventually fade. The hot takes will cool. The only thing that will remain is Caitlin Clark's career. This conversation with Glamour wasn't about winning back fans after a few tough weeks. It was about laying the foundation for a 15-year career. By humanizing herself, she is building a base of support that is not contingent on her box score. She is cultivating a fandom that is invested in her as a person, not just as a player. This is how you build a legacy that transcends sport. People who love Caitlin the person will still be there if she goes into a shooting slump. They will buy her shoes even if her team misses the playoffs. She is trading the fleeting adoration of the front-runner fan for the enduring loyalty of a true believer. This is a chess move in a career that will be full of them. A signal that she and her team are not thinking about next week's game, but about where her brand will be in the year 2040. We must also consider what this means for her relationship with her own teammates. It's a double-edged sword. On one hand, by revealing her own struggles and pressures, she might become a more relatable and approachable figure in the locker room. It's a way of saying, I'm not the untouchable savior you see on TV, I'm just like you trying to figure this all out. This could foster a deeper sense of camaraderie and shared purpose. On the other hand, publicly airing anything that could be interpreted as a critique of the team's culture, no matter how veiled, can be risky. It places her teammates in an awkward position, forced to answer questions about the very issues she raised. Does it build solidarity, or does it create a subtle division between Caitlin and the team? Her ability to navigate this internal dynamic to bring her teammates along with her rather than alienating them will be one of the most critical tests of her leadership in the months and years to come. True team culture, as Maya Moore would attest, is built in private through trust and shared sacrifice, not just through public interviews. In the end, this Glamour interview was a declaration of independence. It was the moment Caitlin Clark, the person, stepped out from behind the shadow of Caitlin Clark, the phenomenon. For months, she has been an idea, a product, a marketing campaign, a vessel for a million different hopes and arguments. She was a character in a story being written by everyone else. With this one conversation, she grabbed the pen. She reminded the world that beneath the jersey, the logo, and the myth, there is a young woman who calls her mom when she's hurt, who finds peace in her kitchen, and who is navigating an extraordinary life with the lessons she learned from a children's book. This wasn't a mistake, and it was far more than a PR stunt. It was an act of reclamation. The question now is no longer whether the league was ready for Caitlin Clark. The question is whether the world is ready for the real, unfiltered, and now fully in control person she is determined to be.